All right, folks, welcome back. I am Jake Ellenbogen, and today we are going to be talking about another prospect, another offensive tackle. This is our fourth video of that kind. Before we dive into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. You can check out my podcast, link in the description. And of course, you can follow me on all social media at JK Bogan. Let's dive into it. So that prospect is indeed Washington's left tackle, Troy Fautanu. And we're going to get into it. I actually thought coming into this, I was expected to be impressed. And, well, we'll talk about it. I feel pretty good about him, but we'll talk about it. Let's just give some background. Fautanu, left tackle, Washington, playing some huge games this year, was protecting Michael Penix Jr., and this is a 6'4", 317-pound left tackle that if you look around Twitter and so forth, you're going to see a lot of people think this guy could play guard, even center. And one thing you should know, if you haven't followed my draft content before, I am a big believer in that it is almost way too overzealous of scouts and, amateur scouts, whatever. They're way too overzealous about one specific thing, and it drives me mad. And that is essentially tackles moving in at guard when they don't have to. And to me, I think Fautanu can stay at tackle. I believe that. Now, you could argue he might be better at guard depending on the outcome, where he goes, all of that. But I got to be honest with you, I don't see the need to move him in at guard. I feel the same thing about Dominic Puni. I feel the same thing about Patrick Paul. And I feel the same thing about Kingsley Suamataia. I mean, I feel like it's very similar like in baseball, right? You have your starting pitchers, and then it's like as soon as the starting pitcher starts to exhibit any sort of weakness, people want to move him to the bullpen. And it's not to say that a guard is a lesser value. It's not even to say that anybody pitching out of the bullpen is lesser than a starter, because they matter too. The point I'm making, though, is a starter, say you get 6-7 innings out of a 9-inning game. Bullpen, you're going to get an inning, maybe 2 innings out of said pitcher. Well, tackle, you are getting, in this case, a blindside protector that you want to move inside. I don't exactly love that. And if you don't have to, since there's not a ton of great tackles in the NFL, I'm not trying to move one of them inside at guard. So now we talked about that for a while. Let's just talk about it, okay? He's a 2-year starter. He's going to be 24 at the end of this season. So that's something to keep in mind. I think when you watch Fautanu, this is somebody that got better in 2023 as a pass protector. He wasn't as effective as the prior year in the run game. His footwork is outstanding. I love his footwork. I mean, that's one thing. Guys kind of jump off the tape in certain ways. Maybe, Patrick Paul, you love just how giant he is. You love his power, right? How physically dominant. Maybe you love Suamataia. Maybe you love the way he is at getting to the second level and just finishing guys off and using that athleticism. Maybe you like the rock solid nature of Dominic Puni all across the board. Well, what is the thing that makes Fautanu different than everyone else? He's got these crazy ass feet, man. It's crazy watching him. It's a little frantic. We'll get into that, but he could set himself up, put himself in a position to succeed, and that's what we love to see. So anyway, like his footwork a lot, really lively feet. He's a very good athlete, and again, pass protection is where I think he's going to make most of his money early on. He's got great flexibility for the position, which you'd obviously love to see. The movement skills are there for him to succeed in the run game, though. I understand right now he's not the best run blocker, and I feel like that's every single player except for Puni that we talked about. Paul, great in pass pro, struggles in the run game. Suamataia, great in pass pro, struggles in the run game. Now we're talking about another one that's great in pass pro and struggles in the run game. But the thing is his movement skills, the way he kind of, I guess, just like lines up his block. Like, I think he can do this. I think he can be much better in the NFL. And that's what I feel good about with Fautanu. Gets to the second level. And man, this guy looks like a tight end. Now, here's the thing that might get some drawback here and some blowback and some pushback from some people. He's very similar to Sua Mataya. The things that Sua Mataya is good at, so is Fautanu. The things that Sua Mataya struggles at, so does Fautanu. I think Fautanu, obviously he's older, more experienced. And I think the important thing here is if you're thinking Sua Mataya over Fautanu, just remember something here. Fautanu doesn't have a lot of the issues that Sua Mataya does in Pass Pro. Sua Mataya is not a guarantee in Pass Pro. He's good. And he's more of a projection, a really nice projection. But Fautanu can play right away in a pass protection setting. That's something that can't be stressed enough. Now, his hand placement is great. I feel like every time I'm watching him, he really knows how to get his hands on whoever's rushing the passer and neutralize him. He's got these heavy hands, and he's going to absolutely neutralize him at the point of attack. Now, is this somebody, when I say neutralize, am I saying dominate? Maybe I shouldn't say neutralize if you're thinking that, but really he does his job. He's somebody, like, he's got these quick feet, lively feet. He's going to stay in front of the guy. He's going to mirror him well. He's not looking to dominate, though. He's not going to be overly aggressive. That's something that I do care about. That's something that I like. Because a lot of the time, you think of left tackle, they want to be overly aggressive. They want to do this. They want to do that. It's not always the best thing. For Poles, for him being the pulling man in a blocking situation, easy as hell for him. Very athletic, like I said, works well, very smooth player, very high football IQ. He has this awareness about him, knows what's going on, doesn't. And another thing is, you can have a high football IQ and just not look as like highly intelligent on the field. He looks highly intelligent. Now, again, the frantic feet, we'll get to that, but really like that. And he's more methodical as a pass protector than he is, aggressive. And I think that's something that is important because he's still a young guy. I mean, I understand he's going to be 24, but he's coming out of college, so he's going to be a rookie. And that's a good thing to have. If he's overly aggressive, that can get him into trouble. So I do like that he's more methodical. He doesn't, because of this, have a defined weakness in his game against a specific pass rushing archetype, which I really like. I think that's an important thing there when you think about it, because the archetype of a pass rusher, whether it's a speed rusher or a power rusher or just somebody that's going to have more toolsy, with his hands and just be more methodical, neither of those three are going to get to, Fautanu. Fautanu will lose reps, but he's not losing them because he struggles in this, and this, the way Sua Mataya does. Sua Mataya against more, technically sound pass rushers is going to struggle, whereas, Patrick Paul is going to struggle with the speed rush. That's the way that is. Fautanu doesn't struggle against a particular archetype because he's well prepared. He'll get beat. There is a lack of consistency at times. We'll get into that, but I like that. And he's adaptable. So I'll watch him in Pass Pro, and what will happen on tape is he might not be ready out of the gate, okay? Because he takes more of like a, kind of a stand still, stand back, not lackadaisical, but more of a methodical approach, right? He's not going to just, be aggressive right away. He's not trying to get his hands on you. He's trying to watch you make the first move and he react to it. Well, you do get those speedier, twitchier pass rushers, and because of that, I think his adaptability with his footwork is really what allows him to be what he is. So, those are the strengths when we're talking about Fautanu. What are his weaknesses? Final thoughts, and we'll get into whether or not the Rams, if he's a fit, should they grab him, and where should they grab him in the draft? And, anyway, weaknesses. I have here, isn't overly powerful, causes him not to finish his block. So if you're looking for a guy that's going to bury a defensive player 6 feet under, that's not Fautanu. That's not his game. Patrick Paul, maybe Sua Mataya at the second. That's not Fautanu's game, and that's okay. keeps him upright so he's able to actually get to the second level and combo block. But at the same time, sometimes he's looking so much for the next level to make that block. He didn't neutralize his first block. And because of that, now that guy is going to get through and make a play. He's not overly powerful. He's powerful enough at the college level. He will need to improve his bulk at the NFL level and improve his strength. That is something that I noticed. Another weakness, he was called for 14 penalties the last 2 years, 8 this past year. And my takeaway is it could have been much worse and will be much worse in the NFL because the things he was able to get away with. There were a lot of holding calls that weren't made in that Texas game when I was watching the Texas film. There were a lot of holding calls that weren't made against him in the Michigan game. When I'm watching those two games, those are the biggest games of the year for him. And he's doing a nice job. And this is the thing that bothers me. And it is a weakness of his because he's winning the rep. And then when Penix decides to run outside of the pocket towards the left side, he still feels the need to grab the jersey, even when he doesn't have to. The problem is that's getting to be called in the NFL 10 out of 10 times because you now have a guy who's out in the open. The referees can see because they have to look at where the ball is. You don't have 5 guys. You don't have 5 other guys in the way. See, in the pocket, sometimes you can get away with some things depending on the positioning of the referee. When he's out and running and you're going to grab a jersey, they can see a jersey tug. And because of that, it puts you in a bad spot. So why he's still got 14 penalties the last 2 years. And I think he got away with a lot more. So that's something he's going to have to work on. Another thing is, I don't want to say his balance issues because there's always like that negative connotation with that. Like, oh, he's got balance issues. This guy just falls down. He can't block anybody. He's, a train wreck. And then we get into the whole project territory. And that's just not who he is. But you can see him getting blown backwards at times because of that more methodical come to me approach. He's not looking to be the first guy that throws the first punch. And sometimes he's not ready for that first punch. It might work for 98% of the rushes on that day, but there's always 1 or 2 where it knocks him right off his feet. And that's something to keep in mind. So he does lose balance. Wouldn't call him somebody that has balance issues, though. Just something to mention. He can whiff in the run game, okay? He's not as bad of a blocker in the run game as some would say. I mean, I'll get into the PFF stats as well, but he's not as bad as what people are saying. He still will whiff, though. And that's something I think that's really important at the NFL level. You need to be at least consistent in the run game to be starting. Now, the frantic feet. He has this pacing of his pass set where he gets kind of like, I love the footwork. I love how lively they are, but he can get a little panicky, frantic, if you will, really fast in pace. And it kind of puts him in bad positioning and then puts him in a rut. Because if he gives up a sack or gives up a pressure, the next play, he's still kind of thinking about that. I don't see a snap-to-snap memory. I see somebody that if he gets into a bad rhythm, somebody can take advantage of it. And to me, he's got control. He's got to be able to take control of every rep or any rep. But he does find himself losing more than he should. That is definitely a weakness of his. And the last one I'll say here is he lacks a trust in his ability. And that goes back to the penalties. I need to see him trust his instincts more. He will literally win the matchup. And just to make sure that he has the matchup won, even though he's already won it, and the ball's out, he's still going to hold. And it happens at the end, and he's got to work on that. And that's something coaching at the NFL level will hopefully fix, but it is important to mention it. Now, here are my final thoughts on him, and then we'll get into the grades, and then, of course, the PFF stats and whether or not the Rams should go out and get him. Final thoughts. He's a second rounder, in my estimation anyway. But I think being in the spotlight those last 2 games in the college football playoff, he could very well go in the first round. Battle tested at Washington, like I mentioned, played in huge games, kept Michael Penix upright. It wasn't his blind side because he's a lefty, but I find that interesting. Again, the run blocking issue, I see it, but I see enough flashes for me to believe he's going to be fine in the NFL. I think he's coachable. He'll be fine in the NFL. And the last one here, future starting tackle, I could see kicked inside at guard depending on who drafts him. I like the prospect. So, where did he grade for me? I have him as a second rounder. I gave him a 9.1 agility out of 10. I gave him an 8.3 pass protection out of 10, 6.9 run blocking, 8.8 spatial movement. We had an 8.2 pull trap, 8.2 play strength. We had 7.7 technique, 8.1 size, 8.4 awareness, 7.7 balance. That comes out to be an 81.4 out of 100, which is a late second rounder. And to me, I think, he'll be 24 this year. The PFF grades tied for 5th in pass block grade, 166th in run block grade, 15th overall grade, 15th overall tackle according to PFF, 36 pressures allowed in 1,061 pass protection snaps, 2 sacks in 2023, tied for 60th in pass blocking efficiency. So the 6'4", 317-pound offensive tackle, Troy Fautanu, does he make sense for the Rams? And my answer is he does. And I think the cool thing about Fautanu is if the Rams don't bring back a Kevin Dotson, the Rams don't bring back Coleman Shelton, and they don't replace him, you look in the draft, this is somebody I think the Rams are in position to grab in the second round. I think they're in a good spot. I have him as a late second round. I don't think it'd be too early for them to grab him, kind of, getting close to the late portion of the second round because they did make the playoffs. I think Fautanu would work well with the Rams offensive line coaching staff. But furthermore, I think this is somebody that could be a successor to Rob Havenstein at right tackle. He's somebody that could work at guard in the meantime. He's somebody that could work at left tackle if Alaric Jackson doesn't come back, and you could have him at left tackle. I like Fautanu. I think the issue is the run blocking, but I like him more long-term in the run blocking area of his game than Suamataia and Patrick Paul. I think all three have issues in the run game, and they're really good in pass pro. Well, Suamataia is not really good. He's solid. Fautanu is somebody that I think just the flashes were way more evident on film that this guy can work in the run game. Okay, and I'm not worried about the way he's able to get himself framed and everything. I'm not worried. He goes with NFL coaching. He's going to be a starter. Could he be a Pro Bowler? I don't know, but I think he'll be a really, really good starting player. So I think the Rams should consider it. I think with the second round pick, I hear first round. I see it. I think that's way too soon. Would not pick him at pick 19. There are likely going to be way better players there, guys that offer more. But Fautanu doesn't have too many question marks where I like the late second round grade. And I have him rated ahead of Patrick Paul and Kingsley Suamataia and right below Dominic Pooney in those 4 tackles that I've now done in this series. So hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments section below who you like. Do you like Fautanu? Do you like Patrick Paul? Do you like Suamataia? Do you like Pooney? How would you list those 4? Drop in the comment section below after these videos. My next video will be another tackle. We're going to focus on offensive tackle. I'll do quite a bunch, and then we'll dive into the edge. And then we'll figure things out as we go. Probably offensive tackle, edge, and cornerback. That'll probably be, the next bunch. So I see a lot of people asking, are you going to have Latu? Are you going to have Dallas Turner? The plan is yes. Hopefully I have the time to do everyone I want to do. So that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care, folks. Later. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.